Amy, were you alive in 1982?
It's still us, Mo and Amy from the Flippin' Fantastic podcast. This is just our behind the scenes where we talk about everything and anything except reselling. Make sure you subscribe and take a listen. Bye.
I was alive in 1982.
You're a baby. I do remember this case because I was like 10 or 11, and
Okay.
I remember everybody throwing away this medicine because everybody was scared. They were scared.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody was throwing away their Tylenol. There was no Tylenol on the shelves. It all went into the garbage.
Oh
And that is a key to what may have happened during the Tylenol murders. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, do you remember throwing away Tylenol in your house?
I mean, I'm sure it's happened. I don't remember the details. I just remember everybody was freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wanted to take it. Everybody was throwing it away. Even though we weren't near where it happened, we were on the East Coast, and this was mostly happening in the Chicago area.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, in the like early 80s, like 1982, wasn't that when the first person died? Yeah. I don't remember any of this at all. Like I don't remember hearing about it later on or anything. Like when you were telling me about the Netflix documentary, I didn't have any recollection of it at all.
Honestly, even I was over at my parents like a week ago, and we didn't watch this. I watched something else with them, but we were flipping through Netflix, and this came up, and my mom was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Don't you remember that everybody had to throw their Tylenol away? Remember, it was laced with cyanide?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, it's like out of, my parents were adults and children." Mm-hmm. They had 4 children by then, but my dad remembered it. But my mom remembered it once her memory was refreshed. But it's basically been forgotten about for almost 50 years. And
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what the hype was like living in Chicago where it took place, like just on the news and because look at the news nowadays when anything happens like in your town. Like there's a sailor missing, like a young female sailor missing in our city. And it's just every time I open it up, it's all I see. So
like a Navy.
Oh yeah, a Navy sailor. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And see, I haven't heard about that. And I mean, with social media, you hear a lot. But so for those of you who don't remember or are too young, because I mean, everybody after Generation X does not know about this at all. And, and I was young, but old enough to kind of remember it. People died from extra strength Tylenol that was laced with cyanide.
Yeah.
The only reason that they probably figured this out is because 3 people from one family died.
Yeah.
3 people from one family in Chicago died. It was extra. It happened to be extra strength Tylenol. It wasn't a pill. It was a capsule. So inside the capsule is little like beads or ground up dust. It works faster. There's still capsules around now, and if you're also younger than Gen X, you will remember that there weren't really any safety. You got your, look at that cap. It's not a childproof cap.
Yeah.
There was no foil on the top. There was the box that it came in wasn't like extra sealed, or there was no plastic that you had to rip off on the outside of the cap. There was none of that back in the day. You just bought your stuff.
If they had, how now like sometimes they have cotton stuffed in it, to kind of help.
I think that was still a thing.
Yeah. That's what I don't know while I was watching it.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that might have been still a thing. But none of the other stuff. Oh, the 6 things you have to get through to get your headache medicine out now.
I know.
Yeah.
And now I don't know about all of them, but some of them don't even have boxes. I guess because save the environment. It's just the container, but it's all the sealed protection. So
yeah. So usually you have the plastic on the outside too.
Yeah, I know. But for like 7 people total, well, it wasn't even. I bet you it was like the documentary said. I bet you it was a lot more than 7, and they just didn't catch them. Like they were saying, like older people. We're just, they're just dying of old age or natural causes,
exactly.
Or even the ones where they said that, what if they took it and they were driving a car and they got in a car accident because they had a seizure, and then
exactly. Like you don't know, because unless you specifically test for it, you have no idea. And so you can see the 3 people in the one family that died. So one of them, I can't remember which one of them died first. And then the family
either.
Yeah, it was I think it was one of the guys. It was definitely one of the guys. And because the other 2 were like a married couple, the family was gathered at the house because he had died. And then people don't feel good, and they took a Tylenol from the house. And then they died there. And that is the only reason. And then and the only reason they figured out that it was cyanide, because it was so unusual that 3 people in the same family dropped dead within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
And wasn't it it was like one of the doctors, or maybe it was I don't know if it was the ME or something, who finally was like, oh, test for this. It sounds weird. And he ended up testing for cyanide poisoning.
Didn't one of them have like white around their mouth too? And
it might have been. Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's why.
He looked into it because it was so unusual, and I think he looked in a book like what could cause this.
Yeah.
And so then they did a tox for poisons, and they found cyanide. So one of these ladies, one was a young kid, one was a airline stewardess that missed her
flight that morning.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. She missed her she missed her flight. A friend hadn't heard from her.
Yep.
It was unusual. Again, remember, this is the 80s. You had to call, you had to dial people on the phone, and they had to be there to answer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you didn't automatically freak out when nobody answered their phone, or you didn't hear back from them for like a day.
Yeah.
It was like a couple days, and then she was like, I haven't heard from her. That's weird. I think she might have supposed to have been meeting her or something, and she called. They both were flight attendants. She talked to whoever. Is she there? And they're like, no, she didn't show up. Yeah. And that was when she called her sister, the girl's sister. And so I forget which one that was.
I don't remember the pictures.
No, I think this girl, Prince, I think her daughter was like came into play into this.
Oh,
right. I think that was her.
I thought it was.
It
could have been. I thought it was one of the Janice people, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay. But no, yeah, she was.
She wasn't. She was she was one of the others. She's either McFarlane or Prince, because she was a blonde girl, and her mother just had a baby. She was only 3, and what do they give you for pain when you come back from the hospital after having a baby, or if you have a headache? Tylenol. So
yep, I know, it's such a shame. So that daughter has been spending basically like her life's mission to figure out who's really responsible for it. There's people that know really what happened. So when all that happened,
there's a guy, and I don't have his picture. I thought I did because it's not there. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, then Johnson is that when Johnson and Johnson started their like, oh, it's just locally. We checked the like serial numbers, and it's just local to Chicago, and they tried to like tame it, kind of like put a little blanket on it, like it's not that bad. It's just Chicago.
They narrowed it. Well, they did their inspections. They narrowed it down to 2 plants, like where they came from. One was in Pennsylvania and one was somewhere else. I forget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So 2 places that it came from. But and the funny is, like, the cops were, again, no social media, just the news, right, at night and your telephone. Sorry, I'm not having vocal fry. I'm just I got stuff. My throat is. Anyway.
I hope you didn't take any extra strength Tylenol, Mo.
No.
It's not funny, but
the cops in Chicago were going up and down the street on their loudspeakers in their cars and telling people to throw away and knocking on doors, throw away your Tylenol, throw away your Tylenol.
Proud about that part.
They all had taken extra strength capsules. They did narrow that down. Now, the people that they know that died. So Tylenol's like, we've done everything. It's not us. We've thrown it all away. We're starting fresh, blah, blah, blah. Right? Took Tylenol off the shelves everywhere. Everybody threw it away. So they start looking. They think it's somebody tampered and put them on the shelves, right?
Yeah.
And they have a note, basically. It's not like a ransom note, but like a what was it?
Yeah, it was a ransom note. It was like a demanding ransom note.
Yeah. I mean, not ransom in that there wasn't a kidnapping.
Letter. Yeah, it was a ransom letter from James Lewis. I remember that. Yeah, saying stop the killings, demanding $1 million to stop the killings. Do you remember that?
Yeah. So they zoned in on this guy, and he had some aliases. This guy and his wife, they were accountants. They had some shady stuff going on. They were always in debt. He had been in and out of prison a few times through his life and the court system for stuff. So they were honing in on him because of that letter. Unfortunate. Now there were still people that are convinced it was him, but that one guy, the one investigator or cop or whatever, he was like, he's just an a-hole, but it wasn't him. Because it ended up they were getting evicted, or they owed money. They were getting evicted. They took off to New York City when all this was happening. So he, from the timeline, he wasn't around to put this stuff on the shelves.
Right. Yeah. And then Johnson & Johnson totally was like, no, we had nothing to do with it. We don't even have cyanide in our facility. But then after investigation, they did.
Spoiler alert, they did. They used it for some sort of tests.
They used quality control testing.
Yeah, sodium cyanide or whatever it is.
Potassium cyanide.
That's it.
Yeah.
They used it for some quality control tests, yeah.
But then they said then they put out statements that said, oh, it's under lock and key. You have to have a pass to get in. And that wasn't even true either. It was just a complete cover-up.
Anybody could have walked in there. Yeah. So the daughter, the girl, she was only 3 when her mom died, but she started looking into it when she got, because, she didn't know her mom died of this until she was older, I guess.
Yeah.
And then when she was even older still, she was like, want to know, because, you're 3, you don't really even remember your mom except from what people tell you.
Right. And pictures.
Pictures. Yeah. So her mom, like you said, her mom had just had a baby. And this is the thing that set it all off. So it was all these extra strength caplets, but her mom's bottle of Tylenol was a regular strength tablet. But there were extra strength caplets on top. And she thinks, they can't figure this out now, but she's pretty sure that, they send her home. They send her mom home with the extra strength, and she just stuck them in the bottle.
Right. Opened the little tiny 3-pill packages and dumped it inside.
Exactly. Yeah. And dumped it in there.
Yeah.
Because so that throws off the whole tampering. One guy tampering and putting it on the shelf of a drugstore, because this didn't come from a drugstore. It was a pharmacy in the hospital gave it to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a disgruntled employee, Mo. I know it. That's got to be what it was.
Or it could have been a disgruntled employee, although they came from two different places.
Maybe it was a traveling QC disgruntled employee. What?
Maybe
because
it was two different factories. And anyway, don't trust Big Pharma.
No, ever.
Because it probably happened at their plant, whether it was intentional or not, or if it was just this part of the process, something got contaminated, and they covered it up.
Mm-hmm.
And all go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that James Lewis guy was in and out of prison, but he was never convicted murder like this crime, like the
nope. No, they don't have it on him. Plus, like I said, he wasn't even in Chicago when, because he and his wife had, they owed money, so they took off, which is why he wrote that letter. They owed money. Like, he needed money. Dude, he was like a weirdo, smart guy. But not, I mean, he went to college. He was educated, but had some stuff going on in that head.
They had that jailhouse informant said, he basically was like, he told me he did it. He told me he did it. And they had interviewed the James Lewis guy, and he was like, no, I didn't have anything to do with it. And he was never convicted. So, and that they wrongfully convict people all the time. So if they didn't have enough evidence to convict him on this, that means that they really didn't have enough evidence.
They really did not have anything on this guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then,
he was a convenient fall guy because, he had a rap sheet. He was a weirdo. He was smart enough to know how to do it.
Yeah.
All that.
And then what was it? Literally the last 20 seconds of the film when they said, these families, I guess I don't know if it was a class action lawsuit, but they were against Johnson & Johnson. And then they paid out. They paid out the victims' families. Right. So
basically your hush money. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like you said, how many more people died because they just covered it up? And conveniently, all the evidence was thrown away. Because everybody just threw it away.
And which is kind of strange. And they also said that they were recalling them all. That Johnson & Johnson, I guess, made statements, national statements. They said they're incinerating them. That was the verbiage they used. And I thought, that's so strange that they're saying incinerate. Right. I mean, obviously, you can't flush it. I mean, you're not supposed to flush your medicines down the toilet. Right, you don't want to get into the
groundwater and stuff,
But incinerated them?
Right.
So,
but I mean, they basically got rid of any evidence that it came, from proving that it came from their plants.
Right.
That whether it was intentional or accidental, whether it was some sort of part of their process that somebody was messing up, not cleaning something up, or it was some disgruntled employee.
Exactly. And it's I wonder how much of it, was it the entire capsule that was filled with cyanide, or was it just like dust? I don't know how much it takes to kill somebody. So it's was it just dustings of it? Maybe it was on the gloves or something. And when they were putting the capsules doing QA, it was just still on their gloves.
I'm not sure. I thought the ones that they tested had been replaced, and it wasn't
completely
the ones
replaced.
They tested. It wasn't all of them in the bottle. It was some of them in the bottle. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah, they clearly took some kind of culpability if they're paying out families.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. What was it, undisclosed amounts? Did it say?
I don't think
recall?
It didn't say. Sure. Not that I remember.
I'm sure. Because
I mean, it's at least 7 different, 5 different families, because it was one family. Mm-hmm. But can you imagine? Can you imagine?
No, not at all. But I guess the the good thing that came out of all of that is the change in protocol for medicines now, because now you do have all of those safety seals and tamper-proof, clear wraps and stuff like that.
Child-proof caps, everything came out of that, honestly, which is good, because it's in a lot of different, a lot of food has that now. Even health and beauty products have stuff like that, that, keep it from anything happening.
But do you remember the Bluebell ice cream when the girl was going around on TikTok licking the Bluebell ice cream? I mean, think about it. That changed the ice cream. I mean, some ice creams still had a seal on top, but now I think they all have a seal, right?
There's at least a seal on the outside, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like a wrap. That
yeah, you got to cut that out, the wrap around the top. Yeah.
But see,
yeah, no, because ice cream was just like peel it off and get to eat.
I know.
But I mean, the thing is it's crazy. Like, who does that? It's like, it's not,
I know. That's why I'm like, oh, it had to have been some disgruntled employee that maybe like wasn't getting their raise, wasn't getting a promotion. I don't know. There's we've seen weirder things,
Right. And we're like never going to know, because let's be honest, 82. So a lot of those people are gone.
True.
Like they're just 80s. Dead. Old age.
Stop aging us, Mo. They could be in their 70s. They could be in their 70s if they started.
Yeah, but I mean, the James Lewis guy died before this.
Yeah, I think he died in 23, like 2023.
Before this aired. Yeah.
That's true. Guys, be careful when you're taking your Tylenol. All your medications, check for crazy residues. Yes. Don't take anything that has a brown ring around it. I think that's what the Tylenol
Yes,
has.
that was, because when it's exposed to the air, it turns
brown.
Also, I think cyanide supposedly smells like almonds. So if your medicine smells like almonds, like almonds don't really smell like almond
extract.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. So be on the lookout. Don't stay away from the shady medicine. If it doesn't have a cap that fits, you must throw it in. You must have quit. That's what I was going to try to say. You must throw it away.
Throw it away.
Oh my gosh, guys. So let us know if you watched the Tylenol murders on Netflix, and what are you watching now? What are you watching currently? Because I have so many things in my mind that I'm like, ooh, I want to dive into this. I want to dive into this. Some of them are on YouTube, though, that I'm interested in. So, yeah, let us know, guys. And with that, stay sassy. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for watching, and check out more of our videos right here. Stay sassy.